What's up, YouTube? Vin here, and I am gonna bring you guys a quick review. My family's coming over, my two aunts and one of my uncles, so, I wanted to do a review today, but obviously I want to spend time with them, so they're on the way now. I'm just gonna do it now. And I'm gonna be continuing my classic Maiden series, and I'm gonna be talking about Powerslave today, which is Iron Maiden's fifth, album. And like I said in my previous review, Peace of Mind was a great album. It, in my opinion, really started to show what the band could do technically. They present you with these songs that are just very big, very epic. They go a lot of places, not only lyrically, but musically. They're extremely progressive. But like I said, Peace of Mind was a little bit darker, a little bit more slow and progressive. And this album, although similar to Peace of Mind, in a lot of ways, is also, there's a couple differences that make it stand out. So first thing I really like about this album, I'll just get it out of the way now, is the production. The production on this album is fantastic. Everything is extremely clean, extremely crisp and clear. Of course, Martin Birch again, great producer. And in this album, the bass sound is really, really good. I don't want to say thin, but it's very, kind of single note orientated. You don't really hear the kind of chugging and the slapping of the bass. You just hear the kind of single notes being played, but a very clean bass sound. You always hear it. It's always doing something very interesting. Steve Harris, like I said in all my main reviews, is a great bassist. He's always kind of like noodling around doing something interesting, but he's still in the rhythm, in the beat, in the kind of pocket of what the band is playing. And like I said, a Peace of Mind review, him and Nico make a great rhythm section, and they improve on that even further on this album. They're just so tight, and they provide a great rhythm for these songs and for the rest of the band to work off of. So the production's great. The drum sound is great, better than on, it's similar than on, Peace of Mind, but the snare sound is a bit more thicker and has a lot more force to it. The ride cymbal, which of course is Nico's thing, is extremely crisp sounding. The bass drum, I wish was a little more audible, but it's audible enough. The guitar sound great, vocals I'll get to. So production's really good. I think the thing I really like about this album, though, just the way it sounds, and obviously that's a bit of a general statement, so I'll go into more detail. The album itself is a very, very big, epic, expansive sound. Take a song like The Duelists, one of the most underrated Maiden tracks of all time, the fifth song on the album. Starts off with really epic riff, great drum beat, amazing vocals by Bruce, and it goes verse, chorus, and the band just launches into this big technical instrumental thing. They just decide to just improvise and play and just do whatever they want, and you get whipping guitar solos, great bass lines, great drums, and you're just sitting there like, because the band totally just changed. They were verse, chorus, bridge, like this huge instrumental section, and it's so big and epic in its sound. It's very whimsical that it just like totally like mind fucks you, and you're just sitting there like, whoa. And it helps, I think, make this album a more of an interesting listen, because every time I listen to it, I feel like I'm hearing it for the first time, which is, if you're saying that about an album, that's definitely a really, really good thing. And I think the thing I also like about this album is it's a lot more bright than Peace of Mind was. Like I said, Peace of Mind was pretty dark. This album is very in your face, very bright, very like, pay attention to this. And the whole album has a very, very atmospheric sound, which I really like about it. I think this album relies heavily, which I feel like all Maiden albums do, especially albums that have like a sort of theme or concept, like Somewhere in Time, which we'll get to next, and Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. But this album just has a really, really grandiose, epic atmosphere, like I've said just about a million times. So whenever I listen to it, it kind of takes me to like another place, which is what I think the aim of an album like this is to do, and it totally accomplishes that in 100%. And I feel like the flow is another thing that this album really, really has going for it. I feel like the album has just an amazing flow. You get Aces High and Minutes to Midnight, first two songs, which are the singles, and they're very easy to get into songs, very enjoyable. Aces High is just a real punch when you first listen to the album. A really fast song, amazing bass and drums, great vocals, two great solos, and a quick song to get the album started, but one of the all-time classic Maiden songs, definitely. 2 Minutes to Midnight is a bit longer, still has a really catchy chorus, that's why it was a single, I'm guessing. Great instrumental section, like I said, Duelist isn't the only song that does that, most of these songs, I'll get to it later. Great song. Then you get Lost for Words, which is the last instrumental, Lost for Words. It's the last instrumental that the band did, and I think it's one of the band's best instrumentals. I enjoy it a lot. It just really shows the technicality and musicianship that the band had at this point. Everything's great about that song. You don't even need Bruce to be good, which, like I said, I'll get to Bruce later. But then you get Flash of the Blades and the Duelists, which, if you remember my Killers review, I said that I actually did a track-by-track review of Powerslave, and it's kind of funny because it's kind of what I'm doing now. It's just one of those albums where it's really necessary. So then you get Flash of the Blade and the Duelists, which, if you can tell by the titles, both have similar structure. Verse, chorus, big, long-ass, epic instrumental section, really technical, really progressive, and shows the technical proficiency of this particular band, and when they were in the prime in this particular album. Then you get Powerslave. Oh no, I'm sorry. You get Back to the Village, which is the worst song on the album, but it's definitely not bad. It's a good song. It's pretty catchy, good musicianship, great riff, fantastic riff. So not a bad song, but I think it is the weak spot, but it's definitely not bad at all. Every song on this album is really good. Then you get Powerslave and Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Powerslave is an amazing song. It's basically, it fits the theme of the album cover, which is Eddie as a big pharaoh. I love that shit, that's so cool. And it is about an Egyptian pharaoh who doesn't want to give up his powers, and he doesn't understand why he has to, because, if he's a god, why can't he live on, as the lyrics say. Great riff. The first time I heard that riff, it was surprisingly heavy for Iron Maiden. When I think heavy, I don't really think Iron Maiden's like a really heavy band. I'm sure some people might argue, but if you're a Maiden fan, you might know what I mean. Some songs are heavy, but I mean they're more of just a rock band, like a heavier rock band, than, you know what I mean. But the riff is extremely heavy. The bass is so chugging and so thick that it gives the song a real, like a rock hard kind of bottom to it, and the bass is always prevalent and there. And then you get the instrumental section, which a lot of people think is the highlight of the album. I gotta say, unbelievable instrumental breakdown. Like I said, this is just what this album has for it. It's extremely technical and extremely mind-blowing as far as the instrumentation goes and the musicianship goes. The band just hits this sweet kind of jam session. The bass is some of the best bass I've heard in a Maiden song. Great solo, really emotional sounding. It helps to bring out the kind of lyrics of the song, even though there are none at that particular point. Riff comes back in, fades out, great song. Then you get Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Almost 14 minutes, and it's amazing. That's really all I gotta say about it. Great kind of, that kind of riff that almost reminds me of Flight of Icarus from Peace of Mind. If you've heard that song, you know what I mean? That kind of, not gallop, but that kind of like, it is sort of a gallop, I guess. Drums are great, vocals are amazing, has that really quiet part, you like the boat creaking, because it's about I want to guess the poet's name, who wrote the poem that the song is based. but I'm not going to. I think I know it, but I don't want to screw it up, so I'm not even gonna. But yeah, I've read some of the poems, really cool. And you hear the boat creaking and that really like creepy voice that's talking over the quiet bass parts, kicks back in and it ends and the album's just over. So yeah, I kind of just mentioned every single song, but what I meant by doing that is that the flow is perfect. The two singles, easy to get into songs, instrumental break, two progressive kind of technical songs, the quick little filler song, and the two epics to end the album off, and it just flows so well. So Flow is just one of the best flowing albums I've ever heard. The vocals are phenomenal on this album. Bruce, in my opinion, hits new heights of amazing vocals. He hits notes on this album that singers wouldn't even dream of hitting. Like at the end of Ace is High, another Ace is High. He hits that really high note that I can't think of any other singer who can do that. And I like the way the production is, again, because he has like a lot of reverb on his voice, and it makes it sound really crisp and clean, and you always hear exactly how he's sounding, and his vocals just permeate and kind of poke through the great instrumentation, and it's always it's in the mix, but it's not too far in the mix where you can't hear everything else that's going on, because you're going to want to hear everything that's going on as far as instrumentation and musicianship goes. What else? Oh, and the instrumentation, like as far as the guitarists are concerned, is great too. Adrian and Dave, they just keep getting better on every single album that they play on. Peace of Mind, they really started to explore that kind of harmonizing riff style that the band is so known for, with songs like The Trooper. On this album, it's even better, like the riff to Ace is High, great. The dual solos that they do, they each have like a unique style that you can tell when each guitarist is playing, so it's great. That's really all I gotta say about this album. This album is, in my opinion, the word to describe it would just be technicality. The band is doing all these really interesting, unique things with their instruments that they didn't do before. The album just has a really big, epic, expansive sound. The album, it almost seems like it has no limits. They just kind of do whatever they want on this album. Very progressive, very in your face, very upbeat a lot of the time, very bright, it's a really amazing album. It's a classic album in my opinion, and I'm gonna give it a 9.8. Only reason is because Back to the Village isn't as good as the rest of the album, but it's definitely not a bad song. In fact, people like it a lot, and so do I. I think it's a really good song. I remember my friend, before I even got into Maiden, was telling me, "Oh, dude, you gotta listen to Back to the Village. I love that song." And so I was like, "Oh." So yeah, 9.8. Classic Maiden record. I'd say it's a good place to start with Maiden, as well as Peace of Mind. Everything's great about this album. If you're into really technical, progressive music with a real epic, whimsical edge to it, I would really recommend Powerslave. It's a great album. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. And if you would like to share some of my videos with your friends, I know a few of you have done that before, and I appreciate it. Feel free to, and hope you enjoyed it. See you guys next time.